Hello
Hello.
and welcome to Planet Marzipan, the Fish and Marillion podcast. I'm Mezza and here's my mate.
Craig Houston.
Hi, hello and welcome to Planet Marzipan. I am Mezza. I'm here with my good friend.
Craig.
And we have returning guests. We're treating you this week. We're here. We have Lucy Jordache.
Hey!
And we have Georgina Wistow.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
I am very well, thank you very much.
Good.
I am looking forward to talking about our favourite night ever.
Yes. Well, we're all here to talk about Friday the 13th of October 2017.
Oh, my days.
Yes, that's flown by, hasn't it? And that was, of course, the night that Marillion first played the Royal Albert Hall.
Hooray!
Cue applause. It was a pretty momentous night, as we will talk about, I'm no doubt. But how far in advance was planning for that? So,
Well, shall I do a bit of the Royal Albert Hall history for you?
Go for it.
Ever since I'd started working for the band had said, mostly H, to be fair, but the band had said, can we play the Royal Albert Hall? And I'd contacted the Royal Albert Hall a gazillion times. And the Royal Albert Hall said, we won't talk to you. You're not a concert promoter. And I said, here's the list of the hundreds of gigs that I've organised for Marillion. I am a concert promoter. Please let me do it. They said, no, we only deal with concert promoters. And we didn't have a concert promoter at that time because we'd let them go because I was doing it all so that we didn't have to give 10% to somebody for doing something that I could do. But then they all started, especially H, banging on about it a lot. And my wonderful best friend forever, George, I'll let her fill in this bit afterwards, but George had been organising some concerts at the Royal Albert Hall, and we had a promoter, Kilimanjaro, who had been banging on all the time saying, can we do your Marillion gigs? Can we do your Marillion gigs? So I went to Kilimanjaro and I said, if you can get us a good night at the Royal Albert Hall, then I will let you do a Marillion tour. Because by then we'd sort of I don't know what the word is, come up a bit, and the venues that were suiting us were the posher sort of theatre type gigs. And I was coming across the same problem. I was trying to contact them and they were like, well, you're not Live Nation or SJM or Kilimanjaro. We're not going to talk to you. And I was just like, oh, for God's sake. So it was all getting harder anyway. So I thought, okay, kill two birds with one stone. So Kilimanjaro said, yeah, we can we can get you a date, and we can get you because it's nobody wants to do it because it's a Friday the 13th. How do you feel about that? I said the album's called Fuck Everyone and Run. I think that's perfect. So I then phoned my best friend forever, George, who will now take over the story and explain what she'd been doing at the Royal Albert Hall.
So I had been working at Britain's largest telco. Other telcos are available. And one of the things that I'd ended up responsible for God knows what reason, was one of their charity events, which was they did part of the Christmas season at the Royal Albert Hall. And they were using a promoter called Raymond Gubbay, who during the period of time, I think I did 5 years of Christmas seasons. And during that period of time, Kilimanjaro bought Raymond Gubbay. So first of all, I was sort of aware of how Kilimanjaro would work with the Albert Hall because I'd worked with Raymond Gobet on it. But also I was really aware of some of the little foibles. So, and I remember Lucy had said, "Oh, she phoned me up and she was like, oh yeah, we've got the Albert Hall." And then the next time I was round her house, it came up in conversation. I remember we were sitting outside, and I said to Lucy, "Have you got an ordinary let or have you got an exclusive let?" And they said, what's the difference? And I said, well, it's about 1,500 seats different. And she was like, what do you mean? So I started talking about it, and then she just went, the meeting's next week. Can you come? And actually, the interesting thing about that meeting was it was exactly a year to the day so when I sat down, because I do work in a completely different industry to Lucy, I'd taken a book and a pen and sat down and wrote the date at the top to take some notes and actions and stuff. And I was like, oh my God, it's exactly a year until we actually play the Albert Hall. So it was really just because some of those things, like, the first thing I said, after that was, if you want a confetti cannon, they're going to charge you the best part of 600 quid to sweep it up. And if you want two, they'll double that. And if you want a balloon drop, they'll
It
charge
wasn't that
you.
cheap.
Yeah, exactly.
It
Well,
was 3 grand.
yeah, ours was a charity gig, so we got some less
Discount.
from there.
But it was really useful, because, I stupidly was like, well, we've hired the whole Royal Albert Hall. We can have the Royal Box and stuff like that. And George is like, you can't have the Royal Box, and so George's experience in all of that was really useful. And I also knew we would have the longest guest list from the band in the history of guest lists. And we did. We had about 100 guests. Some of them were, George and I were quite stern with them and said, you can have, 8 each, and anything else, we can get your guest places, but they're going to have to pay, because otherwise it's ridiculous. So we went to the meeting at Kilimanjaro, and it was brilliant because they were trying to do their me bit, and George is like, no, that's not right. No, that's not right. And you could tell they sat there and went, all right, okay, they know what they're talking about. So he said, right. I said, George is running the whole guest list. She is the point of contact on all things seating. And we are taking our advice from George, not from you. Basically.
And it was quite interesting because they didn't like me very much because I take notes and chase actions and like a normal kind of business. And they just didn't really like it. They didn't really like that level of structure. But actually, as the time went on and they realised how complicated it was and what, that it was like nailing jelly to the wall, they were just like, oh my God. And when you booked the second lot of gigs, their first question was, is George on board?
No,
So having not particularly liked me the first time for a bit, and eventually we worked together really well. And on the day, they were absolutely superb with the stuff that I needed. But yeah, to begin with, I think my level of discipline and structure was a little bit much for them.
yeah, we don't like discipline and structure in the music business.
No.
It's the antithesis. George, can you just talk a little bit about the debentures at the Albert Hall?
The dementia.
Yeah, so there's two types of let in the Albert Hall. One is an exclusive let and one's a ordinary let. And as it sounds, the ordinary let is what pretty much everybody gets who books the Albert Hall. And occasionally they will allow an exclusive let. And I think it's about 5 a year or something. So it's not very many. But I'm going to show you this, although it's not a very visual thing to do on a podcast. It will give you an idea. So I work from this map, and this map has got every seat on it. And where there's a seat number, And we're bringing it closer so you can see where there is a seat number, that seat is available for sale on an ordinary let. Where there isn't a seat number, then there isn't. So if we take the grand tier, which is the fancy pants boxes, so you've got the floor, then you've got the arena. So the arena's the front, and you've got the stalls that come up, and then the first set of boxes, the leisure boxes, they're generally 8 people. And then the next set, they're the fancy seats, they're the grand tier, and they're generally 12 people. And that's where the royal box is on there, the trustees box is next to the royal box. Those are boxes of 12, all apart from the Queen's box, which is a box of 24. But all of those boxes of 12, all but 3 of them are debentures.
And a debenture is that it's owned by other people and they can choose to come to the concert or not.
But
And
looking
so
at that, say looking at that map that you showed us there, we'll see if we can get an image of it there. But there's actually quite a lot on that map there where the numbers are missing. There's more than what I would have actually anticipated on there.
It's about 1,500 seats, and they're the
it's a lot.
really good ones. So there's nothing on the floor because, of course, if you go to the ballet, it's in the round.
Yeah.
So there's nothing on the floor. So all the floor seats are available, but all the good seats. So pretty much of the 36 grand tier, 33 of them are unavailable. So
And it's 1,000 and one. They say 1,500 out of a capacity of about 5,000 is a massive chunk, isn't it? Really?
You're not allowed to email them and say, "Can we have your box, please?" It's up to them to let the Royal Albert Hall know, "Oh, we're not going to use our seats. You can sell them for the night." But Marillion don't get that money. They get that money.
Right. Wow.
But for us, we actually wanted to fill those seats because we wanted more people in there. So and they can let the Royal Albert Hall know the night before, which is why tickets kept dropping. It's sold out in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
It sold out all the available seats, and there was still these 1,500. And the year, because it was a whole year from when we put them on sale to when they came, they kept dropping seats in and people were buying them. And it was that bittersweet thing of, we want to let fans know, but we're not going to get any money from this.
I think the biggest issue, particularly the first time round, was because it was going to be, the big Blu-ray was going to happen from it, was not having that many empty seats that were really good seats, because it's really obvious. And when I used to do the Christmas season, we had the same thing, and particularly because what we wanted to do is we used to reserve all of the boxes on all 3 tiers of boxes and use them for corporate events. So we wanted as many of them as possible. And so what we would always do is we would say, right, okay, we're not going to put any boxes on sale at all. And as they get returned by people, then we'll use those for corporate events. So what we'd said to the Albert Hall, and they'd said this to me previously, was we can't ask people, because previously I'd said for our charity one, can we put a little note in to say, if you don't want your ticket, please return it and we'll resell it. And they said, no, we don't do any of that stuff. But what we can do is, if people let us know that they're not going to use the box or their seat, which they often do, we can say to them, can we put it back on sale? And so their options are, they can do nothing. So they just don't let them know at all. They can leave it empty deliberately, or they can ask for it to be resold. And for us, because they were really, really obvious seats, what we don't want is a big panning shot across the Albert Hall, and then for there to be
hundreds of empties.
Yeah. So what was interesting was, as Lucy said, we had a massive guest list, and it was a moving feast right up until even on the day. In fact, I got my little folder out, and I've got a little post-it note stuck to my folder of the actual guest list. which has then got, a change that Mark Kelly made on the Monday for the Tuesday gig, a change that Steve Rothery made on the Monday for the Tuesday gig, 3 Loja boxes that we got released on the Monday for the Tuesday gig. So all of these changes that were happening all the time. So what was happening was we'd held an amount of seats for the band to fill, but as returns were coming back from the debentures, I was putting guests into them and then freeing up other seats so that we could get as many people in as possible. So as Lucy said, what we did, and we were trying not to do it, you might remember that occasionally something would get put on Facebook, or there'd be an e-web to come out to say, we've got 200 more seats. And that would be because over the period of time, I would be moving everybody around, and I'd say to Lucy, we've got 40 seats. And she'd say, right, I'll let people know. But it was, it was taking time. And fortunately, Lucy put it on sale really early. And so, we had although that meant I had 9 months of everybody changing their minds, we did, as they do, we did have sort of 9 months to chess piece everybody around. And I literally had this massive, massive spreadsheet. And, people from the band would send me like, here's my list. And I would create their list. And then it'd be like, oh, this is happening now. And this is happening now. And I don't suppose you can get me 2 more for these people. And what has to happen with those people is they say, I want these people and they're going to be free. These people want a seat, but they'll pay. So I have to have different coding for that. And then the Albert Hall give a numerical code to the payments. And then those people have to phone up with that numerical code. So say it was you, I'd have to email you and say, here's your code. And they phone the box office and say, I need to pay for my seat. Here's my reference number.
So as you can
That's
see,
so that they can allocate the payment back to the holder of the debenture.
It's so that they know the seat's been paid for. Because with the free ones, it doesn't matter, because we, when it, for the guests, the Marillions guests who weren't paying, it was fine. But when we said to people, you'll need to pay for your seats, the only way we could do it was by, when I was getting, I'd get a pair of tickets that got freed up, then it'd be like, right, the next 2 people who weren't given to me in the original allocation. So someone would come and say, oh God, these 2 people have just said that they're going to be in England, on that day, and can they come? And I'd say, yeah, leave it with me. Next time 2 seats come up, we'll get them in, but they'll have to pay. And so then they would then get an email from me to say, you need to ring the Albert Hall with this number and pay for your box.
so as you can see, it wasn't easy, but
Not
we
at all.
got there, and I'm forever grateful for George for doing it, because I literally would have twatted one of the bands. Because their guest list drive me mad at the best of times, but somewhere like the Royal Albert Hall, and it being so important, I was just like, I love you, George. Thank you so much.
I think what made it easier is because they know me. They started to email me directly, and then I wasn't having to say to Lucy, ask them if blah blah blah, or ask them if blah blah blah. So partly you can say to them, look, this is the situation, and then that really worked well. And also I'd say to them, look, if you tell me who this seat is for and give me their contact details, I will get the code to them. So we're not having to rely on someone in the band who's about to play the biggest gig of their life remembering a numerical code to give to somebody.
So, Lucy, when did tickets go on sale? I seem to recall, was it before Christmas?
Yes.
I think it was.
December the 2nd, I think.
Yep. Exactly 3 weeks after our meeting with them, or something. I don't know, whatever it was.
Now, I can't remember, are we allowed to swear on this?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because so our meeting, we came out of the meeting, and then obviously Lucy and I took loads of weird selfies. 2 things about the meeting was we had to go to the arse end of Bermondsey for the meeting, and 20 minutes into the meeting discovered that the guy we were meeting lives around the corner from me. It was not annoying in the slightest, because Bermondsey's like an hour and a quarter away from where I live, because I'm in North London, and that's far, far, far south. And the other thing was we found our very best coffee shop, which was called For Coffee. And every year, it will happen this year on the 13th of October, either Lucy or I will share our fantastic selfies from outside.
Yeah, so we put the tickets on sale. They sold out in 4 minutes, it was actually. And I knew they'd sell fast, but I didn't think they'd sell that fast. And it was just amazing. I mean, it was stressful as fuck there was a lot of disappointed fans, a lot of moaning, and we go, look, there'll be more tickets. And no one was listening to us, as nobody ever listens to me. I can literally say anything on Facebook. Please read the following, and no one will read it. They just do. But it was amazing from the get-go how excited everyone was and how it was going to be a big occasion, and everyone's going, oh, I'm going to wear a tuxedo and I'm going to wear a ball gown. And someone was so I think it was Barnes said he was going to bring a red carpet for people.
Bring a red carpet,
which he did. We've got pictures on the red
did.
carpet. Yeah.
And so we knew it was going to be a lot of fun, but then of course the band started going, oh my God, what are we doing? Oh my God. So George was in charge of that. And then, Rich was in charge of the stage and everything. I'm sure we had a production manager, and I can't remember.
You did. It was the first time you used Stumpy.
Was it Stumpy? Stumpy was our production manager because we decided we needed a production manager. The crew were all just like, what's going on? Because they had to wear hard hats and stuff, which they'd not had to wear at a gig before. And there was all these rules and regulations, and, everyone had their job. George was in charge of tickets. Tim was in charge of filming. Rich was in charge of crew. Mark Kennedy designed all the merchandise, and I think Stephanie, the Royal Albert Hall was selling it. We didn't have any choice in that, and they took 30% or something ridiculous. I don't remember. And I think Stephanie went on, or it might have been the second one, I can't remember. But anyway, Stephanie went and, made sure that they were all happy. I think Richard Nagy did some merch. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. So everyone had their jobs. I didn't really have a job. I just had to know that everyone was doing their jobs. And everyone on that team did their jobs to 100% of their capability. So I was like, great, I'm going to get off scot-free. This is going to be fabulous. And then the band said, oh, those finger light things that we had that the fans surprised us with at Leicester. We'd love to do that in the Royal Albert Hall. Lucy? Oh. So I contacted Tony Firminger and said, how did you organise that? Because I've got to do it on a grand scale, except, the band are going to know this time. So we ordered thousands of sets of finger lights. And
I remember there'd be this great big black plastic sack backstage.
It literally was the biggest box you've ever seen in your life. And then the Royal Albert Hall, oh God, George, you might have to help my brain on this because I forget things like this. But the Royal Albert Hall said something like, oh, we don't know if you can do that. We'll have to look at them and and you have to put them in. People can't just come and help themselves. You need them in individual bags. So Sheila Jones and all the lovely Web UK came down to Racket, and we bought all those tiny little plastic bags, and we sat there and put 6, I think it was 6 or 5 finger lights in each bag with a little note explaining what was to be done with them, because we knew not everyone would be at Leicester. So we had to write the instructions of Please use these finger lights only during the. I wish I had the.
I'm looking round. I've got mine, but I can't.
I've
Once
still
you've
I've, I've still got some.
see what the instructions say, and maybe people can post it
If
on the
I find it, I'll
Facebook
drop
page.
it in. We'll drop it in.
Yeah, and it said we rewrote that a million times because it's really hard to say during this bit and go. Make sure you all put your hands up at the same time. It was really hard. And so it was like, and then it was like, oh no, we've got to put them on everyone's seats. There's a lot of seats. And in the end, I think the Royal Albert Hall um, said, no, we can't let you do that in the seats, but we'll have the people that sell programs and stuff, we'll get them to hand them out to people as they come in. And, I think a few people went, oh, no, thank you, and then they were disappointed that they didn't have them to
I think
actually
we were
hold
allowed
up.
to. I think what that was a thing from when I'd done the Christmas ones was I remembered that you were allowed to put things on the seats in the boxes. Um, because firstly, in the boxes they get free programs. So whenever you're in a box, if you're a guest of someone, which I had been in Raymond Gubbay's box, which is why why Lucy and I are always in a box because I knew that Raymond Gubbay owned a box. And I knew which one it was, and I knew that obviously that had changed hands to being owned by Kilimanjaro when they bought. So the first thing I said was, "We're having," and I won't tell you what number it was, but I actually knew the number of the box because I was like, I know that you own it and we're having it. So, because then, obviously us and our guests didn't cost the band anything because they wouldn't have earned from that box anyway. Um, but I did remember because we used to put little Christmas stockings on everyone's seats in boxes because we had them for corporate, and I knew so the Albert Hall then because they'd said no, they then on the day put them on the seats in all the boxes for us in the afternoon.
Yeah, so there was that. And then, yeah, the program sellers were selling programs because we decided to do a program at the last minute as well. Um, and so I was like, damn it, I didn't have a responsibility. And now I have a responsibility and it's got to work because we hired our lighting director, hired special lights for round the bits. I don't know what they're called, those bits. No
Ian.
one can see what I'm doing here. But he hired special lights because we knew that the camera would pan round to capture all the finger lights. So you wanted the extra lights as well. So suddenly, from I haven't got any responsibility on the night, I had huge responsibility and I didn't like it.
Once the band had got their head round the fact that they were playing it and got
Yeah.
nervous, at what point did they decide what they were going to play? Because it's a concert of two halves, isn't it?
Well, they wanted to do, yeah, they had to do, they didn't want they had to do the interval thing. Because otherwise you get charged money if you don't have an interval. So they were like, let's interval, and because Fear had come out, they wanted to play the whole of Fear, and why not? Because we figured then it would be the ultimate, the new album filmed, done. And then it was like, right, what are we going to do on the second half? And it was like, ooh, we want to have an orchestra and go completely overboard. And yeah, okay, let's do that then. And then it was just what songs do we want to play? And they decided, really quickly what they wanted to play. Um, that was it really. And then
Well, I mean, this is where we get to say our little stick. We have a friend who has a friend who was the general manager of the Albert Hall at that point, and he had. I don't know if I can say this or not, but I'll take this out.
We
He got Phil Collins tickets because Phil Collins had done his "Still Not Dead Yet" tour, and he secured David a couple of Phil Collins tickets. So David asked if he could get us because I think there was 10 of us.
nine or 10 of us, wasn't there?
10 of us go. So we wanted a good, decent run of seats. So he had asked if he could get us 10 seats. And the guy said, I'm sure I can, but he didn't come back to us till much nearer the time. So this is where Craig gets to look at me with a look of disdain. I panicked and bought a seat in the first 10 rows when they first went on sale in that 4 minutes because I thought I just can't miss out on this. So they were all sat up, 10 of them in a row, and I was on the floor, well away from them, really.
Which was pretty much a good thing.
For who? Maybe for you.
Yeah, because I mean, part of that would have been they'd have been seats probably that I released at the last minute after we'd moved guests into the benches, which is what we were doing. As I say, I had got chunks of seats that I was holding, and then if you know, and had guests in them, and then I was moving them around, and then because it's much easier to sell a chunk than not. And yeah, I mean, I don't have a contact there anymore, but for years I knew the box office manager there. And if I hadn't been able to get tickets for something, I would say to her, look, when debentures come up, I'm happy to pay for them, if something was sold out, and would always be able to get in to see something because you could always get the debenture. And you weren't blagging anything because,
Oh,
you'd pay, I was paying for them. But
yes,
yeah,
I
it
don't
was
like
really,
people who blag things.
it was really, it wasn't a contact I had through you anyway. It was from previously.
I'm joking.
Well, the thing is, online, everybody wanted to go. People from all over people flew in from all over the world for that gig, didn't they?
Oh, all over the world. I mean, there literally was people from South America, Australia, America, Canada, Brazil, everywhere, all of Europe. It was absolutely brilliant. Um,
Some friends of Steve Hogarth's turned up on the night from Brazil and tried to buy a ticket, and they were
oh,
just,
that
and
was
it was it, and it was just like, no, you can't. And the box office manager came to me and said, actually, we can put them in one of the debenture boxes that got returned today. And I was like, fine, stick them in there. So they had the most amazing view, but they literally turned up in the afternoon while I was putting tickets in envelopes.
That's the ultimate, not a blag, but it's the ultimate bit of good luck, though, isn't it, really?
Yeah, yeah. But they would just happen to be there from, on holiday from Brazil, and we're just like, well, we'll just see if we can, if there's been any returns.
I know our friends Nathan, Paige, and Luke went to the box office at the point the tickets went on sale and managed to get a run of
Front row. Yeah.
oh, didn't they?
Yeah. That's really lucky. But I know
Yeah.
hiring the Royal Albert Hall is ridiculously expensive, and
Excuse me a
anything.
second. I've just got to go and shout at my dogs. Could
Well,
you
that
shut
was
up? I'm trying to do a podcast.
that was part of what
Get out.
what I was saying to Lucy about when she said about it, because it's run by trustees
Yeah,
rather than a management company or a venue or event company. They have some very odd views about how it should be run and who should be allowed to do things, and some of the extras that they charge for, just often it's if you want to do something, they will charge you for the permission to do it.
Let me interject there. It was 3 grand for cleaning up the confetti. It was 20 grand permission to film and record. Which we had to pay because we wanted to film and record it. And then you're not allowed to use their image, a photograph of the Royal Albert Hall. So our t-shirts, that's why they've got a sort of
a
outline,
silhouette kind of thing. Yeah.
a silhouette, because you're not allowed. There's so many rules. But it's fine. But as George said, that they've got their own ideas. We had Friday the 13th. We wanted to do 2 nights in that first year, but they were like, well, we don't know if Marillion will sell and da da da. When we sold out in 4 minutes and wanted the next lot and have the 2 nights. They were like, "Yep, no problem," because we'd proved it.
They offered you those dates the week after the gig, didn't they?
Yeah, they said they said, "Do you want these dates?" Yes, thank you. And they'll have us now. But they were very snotty. Oh, really? Do you think you'll sell? It's like, come on, guys, look at some of the shit that's been on at the Royal Albert Hall. We'll be fine.
At the minute, there seems to be a lot of podcasts recording there. There's a lot of podcasts recording there at the minute,
Yeah,
where they do the
I
live
went
versions of
to
it.
I went to Off Menu there.
We got there. Okay. I mean, the atmosphere in the auditorium, well, in fact, in the pubs beforehand, you're right. People did sort of dress up, and Barnes was there. He brought this piece of red carpet in the nearest pub to the Albert Hall, and everybody that came in got this huge welcome.
Do
And
you not dress up?
well, I didn't go in a tour t-shirt, so I suppose I did. Yeah, I had a.
Yeah, we
You were
did.
in a shirt and a
Yeah,
smart jacket. I remember you were very
I had a
smart.
I had a shirt on and a tiara. There you go.
well, Mr. H had a tiara, didn't he?
He did. It's just the same as mine as
Yeah,
well.
poor Fiona was running around Kensington trying to buy that all afternoon.
Oh, yeah. So on the so if I'm really honest, the last two, because that's when I used to go into racket every day. I don't anymore, but the last 2 weeks of rehearsals, I avoided them because they were they'd turned into the biggest stress puppies in the whole world. And I was just like, I don't, nah, I can't, I don't, no. And on the day, um, I didn't go anywhere near them. I literally stuck my head round the door about an hour before they were going to go on stage and went, "Good luck," and then ran off because it was too much. They'd spent all afternoon doing like a dress rehearsal. They wanted to practice with the girls from the orchestra, and Tim wanted to practice some shots. So they had to do it in a dress rehearsal and stuff. So
Well,
they were knackered, before they even started. And I remember Fear started and it was immense and everything, but I was really quite stressed about the orchestra because I knew that my go lights were going to be in that half, and obviously the orchestra was going to be a really big surprise for everyone. Simon Ward had done all the beautiful visuals; they were looking amazing.
They did look stunning on the night.
Didn't they? And I remember I came, we had the break, and if I was a drinker, I would have drunk a lot during the interval. They came on and the space started, didn't it? And as soon as the space started, it was like, they've got this, they've got this. And I relaxed, even though I knew the finger lights were coming. I was just like, they've got it, it's brilliant. And then obviously, when Go came, I was just sitting there, and George will tell you, I was just looking around, just going, no, no, no one hold their lights up, no one hold their, it's like leaning out the box, going, don't do it, don't do it. No, everyone's doing it, everyone's doing it. And then it's wide awake, and is it that bit?
yeah.
Wide awake, and everyone's hands went up, and I think I just turned to George and went, just grabbed her, and it was like, oh, and then I started crying because I was so tired and emotional. I was like, oh, it's so pretty and it's working, and
It's great. I mean, I don't think anybody got the lights out early, did they? From what you
No, I remember because I had my mum and dad sitting
flying
behind
down-
me, and I didn't give them
flying
their
down
lights.
balcony, but I mean, everybody wanted the band to do well. We were all there. It was our band in that place. We wanted it to be a success.
And the atmosphere was electric, though, really. It was all the way
The
through. And
response after El Dorado, the first standing ovation of the night, the band looked completely bowled over on the Blu-ray.
Yeah. I think that's something that's quite unique actually, because mostly, I mean, even, if I speak at a conference or even in small groups when I'm presenting, there's almost always a little bit of, come on then, impress me. I've spent money on this. And I always think, to do that on a grand scale, on a 5,000 person scale, but the Marillion audience, it's almost like they give you 100% and it's yours to lose. So you start off with an A star and then it's theirs to lose. Everyone goes in assuming that they're going to be amazing and wanting it to be amazing and doing their part to make sure it's, as Lucy said, people dressing up and just wanting to make sure they got the finger lights right. And I was watching the little documentary that Tim did, and just seeing as each of the band arrived, there were people there, giving them hugs and just boosting their confidence and making sure they felt like everything was going to be okay.
I know we're talking about all one tonight, but yeah, the second time we played, everyone was measurably calmer. It was just like, oh, Royal Albert Hall, whatever, because we all knew what we were doing and what to expect. And, um, it was just like the band weren't so awe, or I don't know if awestruck's the proper word, because that makes them sound like junior novices, I don't know.
Far from it. I mean, I
they
think
were
it's
just
more to do
very
with the venue than
aware.
the band themselves, really.
I think
Because
they were just very aware of where they were.
Yeah, they'd wanted to
yeah.
play that for so long, and this was, it was finally coming to fruition. I mean,
And also they've played much bigger, much bigger gigs and much bigger venues. Just this one has this kind of special feel to it for some reason.
the
Yeah.
amount of shots in Tim's film, I've never seen so much smiling on a Marillion DVD or Blu-ray. Rother's smiling, H hugging Pete at the end of the first set. It's just there's loads of it on there, and it's a
My
real.
favourite bit on the video is them getting literally drowned in confetti.
I know. I was thinking that how the hell did Mark carry on playing when there must have just been crap? I mean, you look at there's a shot from behind Mark right at the end. His keyboard is just covered in confetti. He just
I know. And Anne-Marie's photographs were just stunning.
oh, she's amazing. She's amazing.
They'd used they got together with Impreza Foley and Sam Morris and Emma Halnan, and they'd done previous 3 gigs they'd been there, hadn't they? So they were at
Yeah.
the Paris as to sort of iron out any.
Yeah, they didn't want to just do it, at the Royal Albert Hall. So we did a couple of gigs wherever they were, and then Paris was like the full lot. And everyone said Paris was brilliant, but I didn't go.
Well, friends of ours who say that Paris was better, but my take on it is the thing that we saw for the first time in the Albert Hall, they just saw for the first time in Paris. I'm sure it was brilliant, but they said it was better, but I'm not sure it was.
Yeah, I see what you mean. If it was their second time of seeing it, it wouldn't be so. Wah!
Yeah.
And then they did the Palladium afterwards as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was in November. Yeah, we had the Royal Box then, didn't we?
We did. You got to have some sort of, perks of the job. So we had I was at the London Palladium, or Palladium as Facebook called it. I was at the London Palladium on Sunday with Ian. We went to see the Blue Man Group.
Oh, was that good?
Yeah, it really, really was good. We'd seen them in 2005 when we got married in Vegas, and it wasn't a patch on what we saw in Vegas. But then in Vegas, the theatre was built for them, and this is a traveling show, so obviously they haven't got all the production, but it was still really enjoyable. But I did sit there looking at the Royal Box going, oh, I should be sitting in there with George. What's going on? I'm such a dog. Yeah, that was just like, oh, let's not play the Royal Albert Hall, let's play the Palladium, or we've got this thing that we want to play, fancy places. I'm still trying to get hold of, the Tower Ballroom at Blackpool where they have the Strictly shows. I really want to play in there.
Amazing, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you'd be allowed to because of the sprung
They have
floor.
gigs.
Did they?
Yeah, we've got history with sprung floors.
Yeah, well, that's what. Yeah, let's not do that.
They have gigs there.
Yeah.
I'm working on that one.
Tim's All One Tonight film, it just captured the evening fantastically, didn't it?
Yeah,
Gotta be.
It's gorgeous.
Is it the
it's a
best
it's a
selling
massive.
live DVD?
I'd say so.
Yeah.
I loved it so much. I even stumped up for the deluxe version.
What?
I know,
You paid. Why did you pay?
because I wanted the deluxe version. I thought it might be so it might sell out.
Oh, see
Look,
what a best friend forever she is.
look.
Yeah. You've got a credit in
Not,
it.
it's not even bloody signed.
You've got a credit in it as well, haven't you?
I don't know. I've asked.
Yeah.
I would think so.
But one of the things about the film that I really love is, as Lucy said, the band were really nervous, and I did see all of them because I was at the Albert Hall for most of the day sorting out tickets and stuff. And of course, they were coming in and saying, "Oh, I've just realised," because I also was running the after show guest list as well. So I'd got a spreadsheet that was basically had two columns because there were people who were just coming to the gig and people who were invited to the after show as well. Um, and so we'd got this kind of in the afternoon, we were sitting in one of the rooms, and it was like on my spreadsheet, it'd be like, right, Sophie Hogarth and +1. And then, I'd be like, right, they're in, grand tier, blah, blah. And then someone would tear those two tickets off, and then it'd be like, and two guest list passes, and it would go round. And then there'd be an envelope at the end that someone would write. And people were popping in and out saying, oh, have I got this person on the guest list? Is this person coming to the after show? I remember at one point I was walking to the bathroom and Mark Kelly stopped me, and he was all like, really hyped up, and he was like, I don't think I've put these two people on the after show list. And I was like, that's okay. They can go on the after show list. That's not a problem. I will find them and make sure they've got wristbands. If not, tell them to come to the door, and I'll stand at the door and give them to them at the door of the after show. And he was like, is that okay? And I was like, Mark, you play in the Albert Hall. I don't get to tell you. It's like, this is your night.
Which is why George was in charge and I wasn't, because I would have just said, oh, for fuck's sake.
But yeah, no, so I had seen them all, and they were definitely, there was more nerves. I mean, Lucy will tell you I don't go backstage unless I'm invited, because I always feel like it's their
space,
their place. But I was there because I had a job. But I didn't set foot in the dressing room. I was tried to be really respectful of them. But it was obvious when you bumped into them in corridors and stuff that they were really on edge. And then you watch Tim's film, and they're just so, there's no view of the nerves at all. No. At all. And I was thinking, because that bit of fear, where of the New Kings, where, it's really, really, really high to start a gig at the Albert Hall and know you've got to hit that, everyone. I was just thinking, oh my God, with nerves, how do you carry that note and then not be a single judder or flicker or anything? And it just must be, game face.
I'm sure I've heard H talk about there's that moment in the space where he either gets there or he doesn't get there. And he really hits it on that night.
Oh, George and I were holding hands during that bit, because it as you say, 90% of the time he gets it. And it was so important that he didn't go. And so we held hands and he got it, and we just went.
But I think from that point, he kind of relaxed into it a bit more. You know, not that it's a special gig. They wanted it to be right in that special place.
And from that point, he seemed to be enjoying it more
Yeah.
and just like, let's just, yeah.
Yeah, and then he probably started to relax a bit more and started drinking a bit of tequila and Red Bull, loosened him up a bit. Actually, I'm not even sure he drank that night at all. They were incredibly nervous. Or nervous, maybe nervous isn't the right word.
Oh no, I mean Mark certainly talks about being nervous in the documentary. You know, the bits that George was talking about where they filmed outside as they're coming in. Mark alludes to being nervous.
I just call them stress puppies. They were really stress puppies, unpleasant. And we're either having a disco or my husband's walking into the room.
Morning.
Evening.
We're just talking about your gig.
Hello.
Oh, my love.
Evening, Ian.
I
Morning.
Just talking about you being
Rubbish.
no,
far from it.
And
The
the Albert
very-
Hall.
the very first Royal Albert Hall. Were you all nervous or stressed or both? Cast your mind back.
Yeah, both. Until we walked on stage, really, because the audience was so brilliant. But it was a tall order because we were filming it, weren't we?
Oh yes.
And we'd rehearsed, filmed a load of stuff in the sound check.
You knew the set because you played it in Holland and then at the Zenith.
Oh yeah, yeah. But to film everything in one night is quite a challenge. You know, most bands would film over the course of 2 or 3 nights probably, and then edit the best bits out of the 3 nights. So, but we were only there the one night, so we had to get it right. But the audience were just amazing, and it went really well. It was very stressful trying to find somewhere to smoke.
You had to keep going out to the stage door, didn't you? And then the fans would come out and go, "Hey, Ian," and you'd go, "Fuck off, trying to smoke."
Can't you see I'm busy?
What was, yeah.
It was a great gig. So
It was.
I enjoyed the next time we played there as well, though, because we weren't filming.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's probably another reason they weren't stressed. We were just talking about the confetti at the end. You had a load on your. Did it affect your drumming at the end as well?
No, it was great because I think I don't know if it was the same tour when we played in Utrecht,
Yeah, it was.
and we said, you know, to Jens, we want confetti. And I was waiting for the confetti to start, and it started, and it just went, oof. And that was it. You know, it was just like a very light shower. So, so when the Albert Hall came on, I mean, the confetti was totally over the top, wasn't it?
Oh, well, we figured if we were going to get charged $3,000 to clear it up,
Yeah,
we
Might
would
as well have a lot there.
exactly. We'd make
Earn
it
the money.
worth their while.
yeah, they do charge for everything, don't they, at the Albert Hall?
Yeah, that's what we were just talking about.
But it is an amazing, it's such an iconic gig. I mean, everybody, you know, every legend has played it.
But you couldn't park underneath for your own gig, could you?
No. Well, I wasn't aware of all that at the time, but when I went to
No,
see,
you weren't allowed.
what wasn't I?
No, because there's only like 4 spaces or something, and there's 5 of you. So how would they have decided
is
who was
quite-
going to park?
It's quite small. So I went to see Leprous at the Albert Hall, and I managed to get into the underground parking there, and drove straight in under the Albert Hall, got a lift straight up to the whatever floor, walked straight into a box, watched Leprous, down the lift after the gig, back in my car, and I was home by about 10.
Yeah.
It's just brilliant. I mean, and the other night we were at the Palladium, see the Blue Man Group.
Yeah, Lucy was saying, do you enjoy that?
Yeah, I did. Enjoyed it a lot. We didn't enjoy it as much as we saw the show in Vegas, and we thought the show in Vegas was better. Can't quite pinpoint why, but it was weird sitting in the Palladium because I used to go there when I was a kid because my father used to play in the orchestra there a lot for Sunday night at the London Palladium, which was
Yeah.
televised every Sunday night. And I always thought it was massive, and it always looks massive on television as well.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought, yeah, it's tiny, isn't it?
It's not tiny though. There was a whole balcony above us, and there's all the floor below.
It's kind of higher than it is long, isn't it? You know, the height is longer than the length of the stalls, I think.
Yeah, maybe.
It's got quite a big stall section though.
I know, but he couldn't see that because we were at the.
Oh yeah, on the grand tier, you're really far forward, aren't you?
Yeah,
we quite often go to the panto there.
Oh no, you don't.
Oh yes, I do.
Yes, you do.
Yeah. It's absolute filth, the panto there. It's brilliant.
Yeah, I've only ever been there once, and it was when Whoopi Goldberg was over doing Sister Act. You remember we were in the stalls, were like 2 seats up from Jennifer Saunders. It was like, is that?
I mean, just sitting there and I'm looking at the stage, thinking, just about every star that's ever been has been on that stage, and the Albert Hall's the same.
Because you played on the second time you played the Albert Hall, you did one gig with seating in the stalls and then one gig standing. How different was that? There's a different feel when the audience were all standing.
Oh,
good question.
That was on the second time we
The second time.
Well, I know just while you think about it, and that Steve Hogarth really loved having the standing because he mentioned it to me that he sometimes with everybody just staring, it's a little bit. I'm too old now to stand. I like a little seat.
Yeah.
Well,
I wouldn't go to a standing gig.
no, but the thing is, it's what I always say about, some people go, oh, seated gigs. The atmosphere is what you as the audience make it. And how good was the atmosphere at the very first Royal Albert Hall with everybody seated? Ting, I rest my case. I win.
Yeah, and everybody stood when they wanted to stand as well. It's not like you're forced to be in your seat.
There were half a dozen standing ovations in that gig, weren't there?
Yeah, after every song.
Yeah.
Oh, they just were a phenomenal audience. They really were. But I mean, when I go to a gig on my own, I usually like to wander around really to see what the sound's like in different areas. So, but if it's I don't know, Blue Man Group, got to be sitting, haven't you, really?
Yeah, you couldn't wander about. We would have got thrown out.
Yeah.
What were you going to say, John?
Well, I was going to ask, Ian, are you going to see Dave Gilmour?
I'd like to. When's he on? When's he playing?
It's this month. It's this month.
Yeah, it's not too far away.
Where's at the Albert Hall?
It's on the Albert. It's on the Albert, yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to see it.
You're going to the Royal Albert Hall to see Hackett, aren't you?
Yes, that's on the 10th, isn't it? I think he's doing the Albert Hall.
23rd.
23rd. Now, finger on the pulse, eh?
Should I see if I can get you some tickets for Dave Gilmour then?
Oh, yes, please. Yeah.
Oh, we should have asked people to. We wanted to go. It's the first time we've actually not seen him on a tour in about 20 years. But we saw the ticket prices and the eyes watered. It was like, whoa. And again, I didn't think whether I'd like the album or not, and I do like the album.
Yeah, I haven't heard it yet.
Just get your cocoa ready before you do it, and it's not that exciting, but it's good, but it's not too exciting.
I prefer it to his last two solo ones, but
quite a few musos at that very first Albert Hall gig. And I remember seeing Steve Wilson. Wasn't Hackett there as well, I think?
Yeah, he was there both times. Steve Wilson was there both times. Richard Barbieri was there two out of three, I think.
Very first.
What, our gig?
Yeah.
Yeah, yes, Steve Hackett was there, wasn't he?
Yep. That doesn't make any difference to them if there's somebody
No, no,
You
but
so
it's,
in the audience, if that was going to be your next question.
it wasn't. But
What's it going to be your next question?
well, the next question is
now.
about the film. So who decided to put it into movie theaters? Because before the DVD and the Blu-ray, yes, you did. So you've forgotten that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we went to see it at that place in King's Cross. Do you remember? It was all the band, me and you and Tim and
Oh, Everyman Theatres.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
I was impressed with they around that area because I used to hang around there when I was a kid. Because I lived
oh,
in
did you? Least said about that, the better, Ian.
Separate podcast. That one.
gentrified all around there now. It's quite
How did that happen? I think Jonathan, his name was Jonathan, and he used to be the general manager at Everyman Theatres, and he was a big Marillion fan, and he contacted me, and I thought it was a groovy idea. Yeah, I'd completely forgotten. And he said, let's do a screening. And I said, yes, why not? It'll be fun.
There were quite a few, weren't there? I went to one in Leeds, so there were quite a few up and down the country.
There wasn't any up here.
Yes, there was. I think there was 6.
I'm so shit at remembering anything.
Say anything now.
I said to Craig earlier, basically what you'll get is Lucy will start talking and then I'll finish it with the actual facts.
Alternative facts.
The actual facts. I was saying about when we were at Darren's wedding in the summer and that guy was asking you all about, and she kept giving him an answer, and I'd go, it's 23 years actually. I was like, no, that's it. And in the end, she was like, just talk to her.
Yeah, swap seats.
Ian and I don't remember anything. Honestly, we're so rubbish. Who are you?
I don't know what.
You remember things from ages ago, though. You'll be great when you're proper old, you've got Alzheimer's, because they remember things from a long time ago, but not what they had for breakfast.
Yeah, it's strange, isn't it? You remember things from 40 years ago, but what happened last week? Nah, can't. Nothing. It's very odd.
What were you just about to say?
I can't remember that far back. Oh, we're always getting, someone will say, oh, do you remember that? I say, oh, yeah, that's about 4 or 5 years ago, wasn't it? And someone said, no, that was actually 25 years ago. The concept of time
This is 7 years ago now that we're talking about, isn't it?
7.
7, yeah.
Mad,
Oh,
isn't it?
God.
What's 7?
Albert Hall, first Albert Hall.
Really? See, that seemed like a couple of years ago to me.
No, 2017, yeah.
Stop calling it the Albert Hall, because that's in Manchester. It's the Royal Albert Hall.
The Albert Halls is in Manchester. It's got an S on it.
I've never played Albert's Hall in Manchester.
Albert Halls.
No, I've never played there.
Have you?
Ian, had you played the Royal Albert Hall before?
Yes.
Well, I did that charity gig for the F1 people.
With Eddie
Jordan.
Eddie Jordan and Nick Mason
Oh yeah,
and Tony Hadley and the two guys from Five, Paul Carrick and Pete.
Yeah, and they're all,
which we still haven't got any footage of, and someone definitely recorded it.
It was good. We did the
Baby,
Beatles
you
song.
can drive my car.
Yeah,
you did that.
Yeah,
and
there was some footage up on YouTube because I've watched that.
Really?
No one can find it. We had Marco from Marco's Marillion Museum trying to find it, and no one can find it.
Well,
they would uncover it.
I mean, the acoustics. What I love about the Albert Hall is the acoustic sound of the drum kit in there. Without headphones on and stuff, just listening to the kit acoustically sounds great.
Oh, I've been to so many dodgy sounding gigs at the Royal Albert Hall.
Oh, it can be a real shed.
But Phil Brown was a god that night.
Yeah, I saw Cream there. Privet, my old sound engineer, was doing the sound, and he got a great sound because it was notoriously bad. I mean, it was made built for classical music, really, wasn't it?
Yeah.
A rock band, but I think they put new baffling on the ceiling.
Ooh. Is that a technical word?
What baffling?
Yeah. Is it really called baffling?
Yeah, egg boxes.
Yeah.
Those baffles that
Those circular things aren't for show.
No, but are they really called baffles?
are called
Yeah.
baffles.
Even I know that.
Well, how? Why?
Acoustic baffles.
But why do you think normal human beings know that they're called baffle?
Because everybody apart
Can't
from
do
you,
the
there's
podcast.
5 people here and 4 of us know they're called baffles.
Hey, did you know they were called baffles?
I didn't know they were called baffles, so I'm
Thank
baffled
you.
enough.
All right, in that case.
Yeah.
Give
Are
them.
they called baffles then?
Yes,
Oh, yeah, they're called baffles. Yeah.
apparently.
Hmm.
Is there any chance of going back?
Yes.
Going
Sorry,
back in-
George.
Going back in time.
Well, no. But back to the South Kensington Working Man's Club.
Yes, that's where it's going to all end.
Yeah.
Oh dear God.
Was setting up for this gig what gave you the idea for with friends from the orchestra?
With friends from the orchestra was they'd done their touring for Fear and stuff, and I could tell they were all. I mean, they hate going in the studio anyway, but I could tell that they really didn't want to go into the studio. And I saw that the fans had really, really, really enjoyed Friends from the Orchestra, so I suggested that they did an album of with Friends from the Orchestra, and they all went, "Yay!"
Is that when we went down to Real World? Was that
Yes.
now?
Yes.
Yeah, because you did it all in secret, didn't you? Because you'd got the album done before you announced it.
Yeah, I know. Those were the days.
Don't pretend you haven't got cunning plans now.
Um, have we?
Yeah, we're going to Dubai.
Well, if the Middle East is still in one piece by then.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God.
Yes, we have cunning plans.
Yes. Okay. You do. Don't look like that. You do. What's your favourite track from the first Albert Hall gig?
Oh, hang on. I'll just look it up for him.
Who? What?
You.
Pardon?
What's your favourite track
From the Albert Hall?
Yeah. I'm just going to show you the set list.
Oh,
Right, so you played all of Fear,
oh,
and then it was The Space, Afraid of Sunlight, Great Escape, Easter, Go, Man of a Thousand Faces, Waiting to Happen, Neverland, and then finished with The Levers,
Levers.
but only the end bit.
Only the end bit of Levers.
Well, yeah, because you played it in full in the first half,
Oh,
so you just had the end bit so you could have the confetti.
I mean, one of the real highlights was Go, really, when all the finger lights came on.
Yeah, I concur.
Yeah, that was amazing. Because we didn't know it was going to happen.
The Go and the Space for me, I think.
Yeah, didn't we start the second half, didn't we, with the space? Yeah.
How about you?
I think nothing beats the reaction to the opening of the space, because you've got that slight intro and then they go into the and that's when the crowd just went up.
I'll be controversial. I'll go between Afraid of Sunlight and The Great Escape because they're two of my favourite songs in any case, so can't go wrong with them two.
Yeah, The Great Escape's a great track as well, isn't it?
Miss Wistow?
Hmm?
It's not. I actually really loved the New Kings because I love that. I love that end section. We are the grandchildren of apes, not angels. But you could hear a pin drop for it. There was just so much. The atmosphere for it was just amazing. And there's bits of songs where I always just close my eyes because it's my favorite bit and I just want to soak up the sound of it. And I remember just sitting in the box just with my eyes closed, just thinking, if anybody shouts or claps or does anything, I'm going to be so cross, and it was
Gonna
just
go and kick them.
perfect.
Yeah, Grendel. Oh, grow knob ends.
Gives up. What?
Kiss about Grendel. I literally probably would have gone down there and twatted them myself.
I thought the go thing was really nice, but controversially, I I really hated the care thing at Leicester, where everybody got their phones out and waved them during care, because it just it seemed to be a big celebratory moment of quite a sad bit of the song.
Oh, I disagree.
Oh, fight.
Fight. I disagree. You're wrong. Next.
I didn't really want any of my friends coming to the Albert Hall gig because I thought if it all goes horribly wrong, you know. And of course, when it was, I thought, why didn't I invite everybody I know there?
I was going to say, I could tell you how many people you had on your guest list.
Who did he have? Roger and Jill.
Well, there was Mark and Chris. Okay.
Mark and Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joe and
Michael.
Michael and Kate.
Yeah. That's my son, isn't it?
Was he with Kate then?
Yeah.
actually, didn't Kate's mum come to one of them as well?
That was the second lot.
Oh.
Oh.
Mm.
Look at George. She's still got all her spreadsheets. All Albert Hawley, and look at that.
Blimey.
It was like, great.
Is that an eBay situation then?
Have you got an overriding memory of the first Royal Albert Hall, sorry?
Thank you. That's to you, Mr. M.
Well, just everything about it was just couldn't have come out better, really. You know, just everything, the sound, the filming of it, and the band played really well. So
Quite often they come off stage and then go to the dressing room and go, oh, it was all too loud, or oh, it's this, all of that, moan. And I walk in and go, that was brilliant. And they're like, oh, and I'm like, were you at a different gig? This time they were genuinely, weren't you, all of you, going, yeah.
yeah, but that's not often. Usually, what happens is if the band come off stage, go, oh, that was a great gig, and then people come back and say, didn't think much of that.
We come backstage and go, nice lights.
Yeah, good light show.
That's the trade. That's what you say if you didn't really enjoy the gig. You go, great lights.
Really good lights. Yeah.
Oh no, trade secrets.
It was the whole event was brilliant, but it was the audience really just
Yes.
incredible.
The four of us on the screen right now, we were cheering.
Oh yes.
George, what was your sort of overriding memory of it?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, my favourite bit was meeting Billy Idol's publicist in catering. Because I love Billy Idol.
Hey?
Sharon Shevin. Billy Idol's publicist.
Oh,
He didn't hear the publicist bit, George.
Thinking I
Yeah.
didn't see Billy Idol, yeah.
Yeah, Billy Idol's publicist, because I love Billy Idol. So that was really exciting because she was just telling me all about him, which was really nice. What was my best thing? I think the thing that's really interesting for me is because I don't really have any skin in the game. My job is to support Lucy. And so I don't have all the nerves and the stress that everybody else has. So I just get to enjoy the entire day. So I turned up super excited, spent the whole afternoon, doing my job, super excited, then had an amazing gig. My mum and dad were there. My mum and dad came to the after show as well, which was really amazing. So it was just the whole thing for me is I don't get that, oh my God, it's over. Thank God it's over. Thank God I don't get any of that because my primary objective is to support Lucy. So I don't have the stress that everyone else has. So I just had the absolute best day. We did come home in a taxi at about 3 a.m. though from the after show, which on a Friday was fine, but the following year when we did it on a Monday and Tuesday was a bit less work friendly.
Yeah.
I was very glad it was over, but really glad that we'd achieved something great. I knew it was great without even seeing the film or seeing any of Anne-Marie's photographs. I just knew it was great from the reaction from the fans, because normally you go on Facebook and it's quite critical. There was no criticism. It was fabulous.
Yeah, definitely. Craig, you got any memories of it?
It was by far one of my favorite gigs. I think the atmosphere the whole night and the band were just on absolute top form. And especially the second half of the gig, once you got into the space and you knew fine well, because fear is like a it's not a hard listen, but it's something you've got to concentrate at, and you really got to kind of be there with it. And then when you get to the space and all the not like the greatest hits, but some of the best songs I've ever done, it's just absolutely cracking all the way through. I loved every second of it.
It was kind of like Port Zealand, but to the power of 10, really, all into one day, really. Seeing people that you know from all across the years, right throughout the auditorium and in the pubs and the bars before and after. It was a fantastic day. It really was. And as I said earlier, everybody wanted it to go well, and it was just amazing, as Tim's film captures.
Oh, well, should we just call it a day then?
Yeah.
No,
No.
yes, not generally, no.
It's funny actually because we didn't get to experience any of the like pubs and bars beforehand, like you normally do with that sort of excitement. And I didn't have a drink at all until we got into the box, and I'd ordered best part of 300 quid's worth of booze into our box,
So
Oh, yeah, I remember
two drinks.
What, 2 bottles of wine?
and we cleared it by the interval, and had to reorder because I thought everyone would be ordering stuff into our box, but it was just me. So everybody just got stuck into it. And in the interval, it was like, oh, I better order some more booze.
We gave you some money towards it, didn't we?
Yeah.
Because
Afterwards, Lucy was like, can I transfer some money to you, given the fact that because it was me and my mum and dad, and then obviously the rest of it was like Lucy and her guests.
Ian's guests, not mine.
Yes. Yeah, although
I guess forgot to bring their wines.
anybody know who Matt Millard is?
What?
Why was he in our box?
Yeah.
Who?
Matt Millard.
Who's that then?
He was in our box.
Yeah, he paid.
Who is he?
We
To
don't
leave this in, and we can ask him if he's listening to the podcast.
I wonder if he was one of Mark Pardy's friends.
He was, wasn't he? Didn't we have a spare going? And yeah, he was. He was Mark's friend. We had a spare seat. Mark said, "Oh, I've got an old school friend."
Yeah, because you didn't have. Yeah, because obviously you didn't have Ian with you because Ian inconveniently had to be on stage. So we had 11 people in our box.
Exactly. So yes, well remembered, Matt Millard. That's really funny. Who are you?
I went when I said, "Oh, I'll tell Ian who was on his guest list," and then I was just looking at it because they're all colour coded, and I was like, "Who the hell is Matt Millard?"
Right, sorry.
Anyway, listeners, I hope you've enjoyed that. We've talked about lots of different aspects of the Royal Albert Hall gig. There you go. I'm getting a thumbs up from Lucy. We would just like to thank George for joining us this evening.
Anytime, always a pleasure.
And Lucy.
I feel I should have done a lyric reading, but
We'll get you back on for some of those. Mr. H just started to do one of his podcasts, hasn't he?
I know.
He's thieved it.
He's not as good as me, though, is he?
Put a patch on you. You're our Pam Ayres.
Does he not do the accents?
He doesn't do the accent.
Does it? No.
I know they're his words, but he doesn't speak them in the right accent.
And thank you, Ian, for dropping in.
You're very welcome.
No, thank you.
It's great to see you.
Yeah. But all that remains to say is it's good night from me.
And it's good night from him.
Take care.
And stay alive.
Hey.
Thanks for listening to Planet Marzipan Podcast. Please like and subscribe from whichever platform you get your podcasts from. You can contact us at planetmarzipanpodcast@gmail.com and check out Marillion.com, fishmusic.scot or fishmusic.eu.